to the Field Guide. My name is Irene, and today is December 20th. It's a Sunday, and it's 35 degrees out, and I'm going cross-country skiing, and I'm taking you with me. My father and my uncle loved to ski. We had some cousins on that side that were big skiers. In fact, they loved winter so much, and although they lived in the Hudson Valley, they thought it was too warm here in the winter, so they bought land up around the Great Scandinavia Lake up in the Adirondacks. That's how much they loved winter. But a little story about my father and my uncle. They used to do the high jump at the Bear Mountain Park, just south of here. And they also held the Olympics there one year. And it's fabled that if you remember Wide World of Sports, at the beginning, the agony of defeat, ski crash, it's fabled that that happened at Bear Mountain, but it actually didn't. That actually happened, I believe, in, might have been Yugoslavia. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyhow, the story goes that my father and my uncle got to know the Norwegian who won the gold medal for the year that the Olympic high jump was held at Bear Mountain. And back then, they didn't worry about insurance, and there was nobody to really look over the situation. So they were little kids, and they got this Olympic gold medalist to teach them how to do the high jump. I don't know if that's true, but that's the story that my uncle told me, not my father. But my skiing experience goes back to the late 1960s in Fort Montgomery, when we lived at the top of a mountain, and it was truly the top of a mountain. The edge of our driveway was very narrow. The edge was a sheer cliff. We didn't have any guardrails or anything. We were just taught not to jump off that cliff. But since we were in a mountainous area, our neighbors were Harriman State Park and the West Point Reservation. So somehow my father managed to get some smaller skis, and he wanted us to learn as much as we possibly could, expose us to everything. So he slapped the skis on us, and he took us out in the backyard, which was West Point and the Harriman State Park lands, and we just kind of skied for a while. You know, we were little kids, so we didn't go very far, but we skied for a while along the utility roads, and I don't remember too much about it. I remember my toes freezing, and I remember being out in a blizzard doing this, and all the instruction my dad gave me. Well, many, many years passed, and I had forgotten most of that. I had a friend who worked at West Point back in the late 70s, early 80s. It wasn't open to the public, but if you had a friend who could get you in with a pass, you could go in and ski the West Point Victor Constant ski slope. So I got some skis on, and I went up to the bunny slope and got tangled in the tow line. That didn't work out very well. So I got frustrated, and I said, you know what, I'm just hopping on a ski lift. I had no instruction whatsoever. I was just going by what I thought I saw other skiers doing. So I get up to the top, and I didn't know how to jump off of a ski lift. So I hollered out to the attendant, I don't know what I'm doing. And he said very quickly, he said, as soon as your feet touch the ramp, stand up and push off. Well, it worked, and I made a long left to the top of the ski slope, which was successful, but then I was faced with a 15-foot drop. So I didn't know what I was doing. I just went straight down the drop. I'm skiing, and I'm still on my feet, and I make it down to the bottom of the hill, but it was a terrible struggle. So I said, okay, I did that. I'm going to get back on the ski lift and try it again, because now I've mastered the ski lift. So I get up there, I go around, full of confidence, 18, 19 years old. At that age, we're still somewhat made out of rubber. And I head straight down that 15-foot sheer cliff. And I ended up having such spectacular wipeouts from that point on that I actually got applause from the ski lift. That's how bad they were. Well, I did this for a while, and I ended up at the bottom of the ski slope at the line for the lift, and I think it was a young West Point cadet who came up to me, and he said, follow me. I said, okay. So he got on the lift, I got on my own chair, he met me at the top of the hill, and he showed me how to shift my weight on top of my skis and how to dig in with my heels and how to lean from side to side so that I wasn't going straight down the mountain anymore like a maniac, having these spectacular crashes. And I really appreciated it that he did that. And I still was not that great of a downhill skier. So that part of my life ended, and some years went by. It gets into the 80s, and all of a sudden, cross-country skiing is a boom. We were getting a lot of snow, a lot of different shops, even if they weren't sports-related, were renting cross-country skis and snowshoes. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get back into this again, but I'm going to start with my roots with cross-country. And at that time, I had seen the movie with Kirk Douglas, and it's called Heroes of Telemark. And it's about the history of World War II and cross-country skiing, and how these amazing cross-country skiers helped to win the war by ridding the Norway of the Nazis. And what they did on the cross-country skis was they went into the mountains and they blew up one of the Nazis' chemical factories that they had built in Norway. And I was so impressed by that. I'm like, that I wasn't such a great downhiller, so I'm going to go ahead and cross-country. So I started doing that back in the late 80s in the Black Rock Forest Preserve in Cornwall-on-Hudson. It's not a big forest, but it's full of utility roads, averaging to about 15 miles. And they don't groom it. So skiing there was a challenge, and you had to be well prepared. You had to bring a survival kit with you, because if something went wrong out in those woods, there wasn't anybody to just drive out and pick you up. You had to be able to survive at least overnight. So it was a lot more work. But today, I'm going to Fahnestock State Park in Carmel, New York, in Putnam County. Its elevation is about 15 to 1,600 feet. And I just called for the ski report, and they said it's packed powder, which is great. And we're also getting a snow flurry right now, and that little bit of extra fresh snow on top of the packed powder will make for some really awesome skiing. Let me show you what I'm skiing with here today. Hi! This is a 20-plus-year-old pair of Alpina skis with Rockefeller bindings. And these are much longer than what they offer today. But over 20 years ago, this was measured to fit me exactly, according to the standards back then. And this is a 195, which is quite long. That's a lot of wood on your feet. These are the Rockefeller bindings. Your toe bar goes right in here. And these skis were made in, I know it's on here somewhere, I'm pretty sure they were made in Yugoslavia. And they have a core base of wood, and they are sealed in a laminate. And these are called waxless skis because you don't have to bring a candle or a can of red wax with you. They've already got the wax embedded onto the bottom of the ski. This is a smooth section. That's what gives you your glide. This is what gives you your grip right here. Can you hear that? I'm not sure if you can see that. I've got you set up inside the car. But that's where you get your control from. Now, if you know anything about skis, most skis have edges on them, downhill and cross-country. These do not. An edge will give you a lot of control, especially on ice. Edges can come in the plastic epoxy laminate that these are molded in, or they can be metal and they're added to the edge of the ski on both sides where your foot is. These do not have edges because I wore them off. 20 plus years old, and I just completely wore them off. And anything that becomes chipped, because I do a lot of spring skiing and sometimes I'm skiing over rocks and through dirt, I just sealed it up with some crazy glue. Now, not having the edges will make it more difficult and fast conditions, I just have to really bear my weight into them so that I can get them to function for me, but they always do. Now, yes, I could buy newer skis, but these skis are very dear to me, and they just don't make them like that anymore. They have, at this age, over 20 years old, they've pretty much become a collector's item, and I just love them. They're long and they're goofy and they're old-fashioned, but they certainly work for me. Okay, ski boots. I do not have the original set of Alpina boots that came with the skis. About 5 or 6 years ago, I bought some Fishers, and these are wonderful. They've got the zipper to close in your laces. My old ones did not have that, and the laces would freeze up and get covered with snow, making it hard to get the boot off. And this is what's called a high top cross-country ski boot, and that's because it gives you a lot of added support in the ankle, which you need, especially with skis that don't have edges. So this is the toe bar that I mentioned before, and that goes, let's see if I can set this up for you. That goes, see that red right there? You aim for that with your toe, and it clips in. Of course, when you're standing on it, your weight will push it right into it. And underneath the boot, you have some ridges, some grooves that fit with these ridges. So when your foot is flat, that's when you want to give your ski the command to be controlled with your weight and such. You do an awful lot of maneuvering with that groove. It definitely helps, especially with an ancient pair of skis. And I also have my old ski socks. I do not remember what the brand is. These ski socks are almost 30 years old. I have 5 pair of them, and I alternate them out. And the reason I continue to use them is because not only have they never been worn out, and I mean this is over about 30 years of skiing with these socks. But when you go to buy your ski boot, you wear the sock that you'll be wearing in the ski boot. Now, these have gotten wet, and my feet have never frozen. I've never had a problem with them. If I go to replace them, I'm almost fearful of what's out there right now. A lot has changed, but I mean, think about it. A 30-year-old ski sock that is still working. The oddest thing about cross-country skiers is that we like to ski up hills. And the best maneuver for this, which I can't really show you, but I can talk you through it, is to angle your skis out away, the tips out away from your body, and angle your ankles inward. That way, the edge of the ski, right here, will dig into the snow, and it will stop you from going backwards. Snow's getting a little fast, and I'm a little out of shape, so I'm going to snow plow. Snow plowing, you angle the inside of your ankles in, whoop, so that your ski edges, although mine are non-existent, will grab the snow on an angle, and then it'll slow you down. And as you're angling your toes in, you angle your ankles out, and that creates a snowplow. Had an ice ball under my toe, throwing off my game. Everything is forward motion. Oh, we got a tie up. I'm gonna have to wait. Somebody's stuck on the hill. I'm grooving it. These are grooves set by the groomer, and they're for traditional trail skis like mine. Out in the center here where it's wide, that's for the shorter and lighter skate skiers. And their ski is much smaller than mine. And they need the room because they're pushing their ski out like an ice skate very far from their hips. So they need the room to get that momentum. Thus so. So let me give you a little history on Fahnestock. Clarence Fahnestock gave this land to his brother back in the 1920s. Prior to that, around 1720, the king had granted the Phillips family the right to mine this land. It's full of iron ore. This land has about 20 mines in it, including shafts. The Phillips family, which Phillipstown, New York is named after, still has rights to any mining that is done in this park. When it became a state park, that right never changed. I'm not sure when it became a state park. I think it might have been after World War II. But there was a whole community that lived in here who spent their time mining. There's even a low-gauge railroad, a couple of them, to help move the iron ore out to the main roadways to be shipped to the smelters. Whee! Oh, the breeze is wonderful. That feels good. Ah, here comes the groomer. That's my favorite person in the whole world. Thanks for joining me, everyone. The phone only fell in the snow one time. I guess I got lucky. So I'm not gonna tempt my fate anymore. And I think I'm gonna end this and put the phone back in a safe place. Thank you so much for coming along with me, and have a great day. Bye-bye.